Our community thinks that my M37 son is a scholarship kid because of my wife, F36. My wife and I have 2 young children, and I have a child who I met in 2021, and he came to the US to live with us last month. It hasn't been the smoothest transition, but it's getting better as the days go by. If I had to explain the community I live in, I would say status really matters to a lot of the people here, including my wife. She talks to everyone a lot more than I do, which is not abnormal because it's mainly the women here who meet up with themselves. Yesterday, my neighbor asked a question about which program my son came here through. I was very confused, asked for clarification, and told him he was my son. It turns out my wife told his wife and many others that my son was not my son, but a scholarship kid. Asked my wife about it, and she said that she didn't know how to explain and what would people think. I hate how she does this. When we're at home, it's great, but the second we go out in public, it's what would people think. He overheard us and told me this morning that he doesn't care what she said and to not let him be the reason we're fighting. So I'm thinking, do I respect his wishes and drop it? Or do I try to talk to my wife about it again? What would people think? This won't be the last time your wife puts other people's views above her family. I do couples counseling. He overheard us and told me this morning that he doesn't care what she said and to not let him be the reason we're fighting. You need to make it clear to your son that you're not fighting because of him at all. How old is your son? Did you, and the rest of your family, just find out about him? What is a scholarship kid? How much does your wife resent your son? Please talk to your wife about it. But more importantly, you need to realize that your son feels deeply unsafe right now, and is navigating terrifying social waters while living across the ocean from the only home and family he has ever known. Your wife has all the power here, from his perspective, and she clearly resents TF out of him, to the point where she is literally going around your community poisoning the proverbial well against him, taking away any warmth, prestige, or welcome he might receive as the son of a man who, it sounds like, is a pillar of the community, by telling people that he's just a scholarship kid, essentially a stranger that you've taken into your home out of kindness, and perhaps a bit of pity. From the sound of it, I know communities like yours well, and women like your wife, unfortunately. And this isn't just about what people will think. This is about getting back at him, and by extension, his mother, for disrupting her picture-perfect life. She is setting him up so that she looks like a generous, put-upon wife and mother who has opened her home to the poor scholarship kid. But she doesn't have to acknowledge the shame of you having an older child she has to explain, or make space for him in the family she has cultivated exactly the way she wants it. And in the meantime, your son is terrified. He doesn't want to make waves. He is in a new country, a new community, a new home, and the family matriarch clearly has it out for him to the point where she is lying about WHO he is, and telling people he's a poor kid you took in, and his dad, as well-meaning as you are, is apparently clueless and clearly cannot keep him safe from her. You have basically admitted that you leave social things up to your wife. And what she has done with that is made sure that your son will never be seen as an equal to your friends and colleagues' kids, or even received as your son at all. He asked you not to say anything because he knows she will retaliate. You not only need to talk to your wife, you need to set some serious boundaries. My heart goes out to your poor son. I can't imagine how unsafe and unwelcome he must feel. Don't respect his wishes. This is something you and your wife need to work out. He needs to know that at least one of his parents isn't ashamed of him. It's also an issue in your marriage if you and your wife have very different ideas on how you feel about your son. Is this one of those exclusive communities where the people have lots of money, Botox, and a lack of common sense? Sounds like typical suburban BS. I would bring it up with your wife again and ask if these over-Botox housewives' opinion mean more than having respect for the family. Someone once gave me some good advice in a similar situation. The people who matter don't care, and the people who care don't matter. Oh man, sounds like my stepmom. All that mattered is what people think, not just neighbors. She didn't like the way I dressed or I dyed my hair as a teen. She would make me walk 10 feet in front of my dad in the mall so I didn't associate with her. So glad she's out of my life. For your kids' sake, I'd recommend you shut that down. It's incredibly difficult to feel loved and supported with this type of toxic behavior in the house you live in. Your wife needs to learn that this situation happens more than you think. With 23 plus me, half-siblings and new relatives are coming out of the woodwork. The timeline is super clear. The kid is 15. The marriage is 8 years. Absolutely no overlap. People will eventually find out, and you know what people will think. That your wife is shallow and mean to treat a kid like this. I would go around introducing my son as my son to make him feel he is fully accepted. Wife in tow. I would also expect my wife to sincerely apologize to my son and to everyone else for a malicious lie set to alienate my son from the family and community. If she still doesn't understand how egregiously she messed up, I would start to question her morals and character. I would also become super concerned about what narrative she is feeding the younger children about their older brother. She was so worried about what people would think. Well, now people think she is a liar, a snob and a bully. Edit. Throw a welcome house party for your son, and invite your friends, neighbors. No one in here is addressing the giant issue at the root of all of this. You say your wife cares about what people think, but really she cares about what she thinks people will think. Something about your son, in her eyes, makes him so inferior to everyone else in the neighborhood that she has to hide any connection. Have your neighbors stated directly that they hate anyone from another country or who might have been born prior to meeting your wife? No? That means your wife thinks these things, not the neighbors. Whether it's a disgusting opinion on foreigners, having kids out of wedlock, etc. Your wife is bothered by the fact that her idea of perfect no longer exists because of whatever she thinks about your son. Do you really think your neighbors would shun you if they found out you had a kid from a different relationship in a different country? Clearly not, since you told them and they didn't react that way. It's not the community who has this opinion. It's your wife. I'm very confident this isn't the first sign of disgusting behavior. The question is, are you going to continue to ignore it now that she's going at your son? Spoiler alert, people with that level of a superiority complex don't change. Just curious, what was the reason your son's mom finally reached out? You need a therapist who specializes in blended families and fast. Your wife is being nuts and she's going to damage this kid for her own vanity, prestige. She flat out lied. Is she crazy about other stuff too? Because this is so out there that I was hoping it was a troll post. Ask her what she cares more about, you or public opinion. Inform her if it is public opinion she cares more, then you can't stay together. In this, divorce is the correct choice. If she tries to evade the question, tell you will treat lack of answer for the negative answer. Start distancing yourself, and slowly move towards planning separation, divorce. Perhaps she will get a wake-up call in the middle of the process. should she at any point claim you are more important than public opinion. Demand her to tell literally everyone she has lied to that she has lied to them about you kid not being your kid. If she refuses, or agrees, but does not do this, proceed as in prior paragraph. Needless to say, even if she does it, you need to go with her on counseling or therapy, and otherwise demand her to never do anything that would suggest she feels embarrassed about you. Or she will have to either face divorce, or will have to admit to people she has lied to them. Words cannot reach her. Do not delude yourself otherwise. This is the best option as it has a chance of making her change. If she can't change, then you should leave her. Well, unless you are fine staying with someone ashamed of you. Family therapy is a must-do for you guys. Start without the kids there. And quite honestly, stop having such traumatizing conversations where he can overhear you. That one's on you, not just her. That must have been so horrible for the poor kid. Your wife clearly isn't comfortable having your child in your lives. She can't even accept that he's your son. She shouldn't be worried about what people think as he was born way before you two got together. Your son probably feels unsafe and doesn't want to cause an argument that might get him sent away. He knows if your wife makes you choose it won't be him. Poor kid. Needs a protector. Ask your wife how she would feel if you started to refer to her as your roommate rather than wife. That's the same thing she has done to your son. Taken him out of your family in her friends' eyes. If I were you, I'd demand she make a correction to her lie. This was a deliberate lie to make it seem like your son wasn't part of the family. If she's embarrassed to have your son as part of the family, then maybe your family needs a big shakeup. Your son is trying not to rock the boat with your wife, and apparently feels uncomfortable. It is your job to help him feel safe and loved and wanted and stand up for him. Your wife needs to check herself. She cares what people think that much. Huh? Hit her where it hurts. I would start telling people, in front of her and in general, he is your son and that your wife was not 100% honest about it because he's from another relationship. That should embarrass the living hell out of her and make her think twice before doing something like this again. Establish the boundary and take control of the situation. This is unacceptable behavior.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.